Let's talk cold weather. Hi everyone, I'm Hannah and welcome back. We all know that British people love complaining about the weather. And it's that time of year again. So it's the perfect opportunity to brush up on your cold weather vocabulary. You never know when you might need to make some small talk. Let's go. So of course we know about snow. Snow can be a verb or a noun and is uncountable. For example, wow, look at all the snow. Or I can't wait for it to snow this year. We can use the adjectives heavy or light to describe how much snow there is. For example, there's a heavy layer of snow on the ground right now. When we talk about how snow is falling, we tend to use the continuous tenses or going to. In this case, we use the adverbs heavily or lightly. For example, did you know it's snowing right now? Or it was snowing so heavily last night. Or I think it's going to snow lightly on Saturday. And if we want to talk about individual pieces of snow, we can use snowflake. For example, a snowflake landed on her face. But what about other kinds of weather? Ouch! That's right, it's hail. We use hail similarly to snow as a verb and an uncountable noun. For example, it's hailing like crazy outside. However, when using the noun, we're more likely to refer to the individual pieces of hail than hail in general. So in that case, we use hailstone. For example, the road was covered in hailstones. A hailstone nearly hit me and it was the size of a golf ball. What about that other kind of weather? You know, halfway between rain and snow. In English, we call that sleet. Like snow and hail, it is a verb and an uncountable noun. But we don't tend to use the verb much. You're mostly likely to hear this used when people are comparing it negatively to snow. For example, look, it's snowing. Oh, no, it's not. It's just sleet. But this is only when it falls from the sky. When the snow starts melting on the ground, we use the noun slush. For example, quick, we need to go out and make a snowman before it turns to slush. And sometimes it's one of those dark grey days. We use the adjective overcast to describe a sky covered with clouds and letting through very little light. For example, the day was still and overcast. You just know it's going to rain, it's so overcast. On cold days like this, you might wake in the morning to see a very thin layer of ice on your windows or car. This is called frost. We describe things covered with frost as frosty. For example, look at the frost this morning. It's really frosty today. And if your car's covered in frost, you may have to use the verb defrost, which of course means to remove the frost. For example, he boiled some water and took it outside to defrost the car windows. But what can we say on these cold winter days? You can use words like nippy and chilly to talk about cold that's not too extreme. Nippy describes the day or weather, not the person. So, I feel nippy is wrong. But chilly can be used to describe either. For example, I need to put on my coat. It's a bit nippy out there. You're just wearing a t-shirt. Aren't you chilly? For a very cold day or person, use freezing or freezing cold. It's going to be freezing cold on Saturday. Is he shivering? He looks freezing. And in the UK, you can also describe cold weather as Baltic. This is an informal way of comparing it to the weather in the cold parts of Northern Europe. For example, it's been absolutely Baltic at night recently. And that's a wrap. What kind of weather did you wake up to this morning? Was there any frost on your windows? Let us know in the comments below. Like and subscribe and follow us on Instagram for more useful winter vocabulary. See you next time.